Hey everyone, Dale here, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Audi A7 Sportback. For those of you that are new here, I work as an automotive consultant here in the UK, but also with manufacturers around the world, and I help them decide what sort of specification they should put into their vehicles so that they know they're getting the best value from what they put in their vehicles, and also the customer and consumer know that they're getting good value when they pay for their vehicle. So this is an exercise I would do with a manufacturer, albeit it's a slightly different format. This is a YouTube format. I'm going to record my screen so that you can see what I'm looking at, and we're effectively going to say that if you jump up from a Sport to a Black Edition to an S-Line, etc, etc, if Audi charge you £3,000 say to jump up into that specification, what's that specification actually worth? And we're going to look at this as if it was a vehicle that's 3 years old. So effectively what we're going to do is say, okay, if Audi charge you £3,000 in 3 years time, what's that specification going to be worth in 3 years time? So it's good if you're a first-time owner and you want to know what your specification is going to be worth in 3 years time, or maybe you're looking at that vehicle and potentially purchasing it in 3 years time when the depreciation has happened already, and you know what sort of specification and value you're getting from that product. So I'm going to do my usual thing, which is record my screen. We're going to do some picture-in-picture, which is what you normally see, and we'll run through the trims. There's going to be lots of arrows and numbers, etc. on this screen that you're going to see. I'll explain everything as I go along, and obviously I'll put timestamps in, so if you just want to skip ahead to the various specs, and I can describe what we go through in terms of evaluation, which is what I do for a manufacturer. So we've got the A7 Sportback here. It's a sport model, 40 TDI S-tronic. Starts at £48,770 at the time of filming this video. It comes with 19-inch alloy wheels, LED front and rear lights, MMI Navigation Plus with MMI Touch and Audi Virtual Cockpit, electronically adjustable front seats with driver memory function, retractable rear spoiler, parking system plus, and rear view camera. So I'm not going to value the sport model, because what we're going to do is see how much value you actually get from going up in specification. So if you want to jump into a sport model and you want to pay the £48,770 to get into an Audi A7, that's entirely your decision. But we're going to focus today just on what the specifications above this model actually are worth. So if I scroll down, I've got an arrow there on the left with a value next to it, 3,525. So in order to jump from a sport model to an S-Line model, you would have to pay Audi £3,525 for the privilege. Now on the right hand side, or sort of centre to the right, you've got the specification, and there's numbers down the side of the specification. That's what I personally valued this at in 3 years time. And then you've got a big number there, 1400, that shows you what the total value of that specification is worth. So we've got 20-inch alloy wheels on this vehicle. It's the S-Line model, as I said before. HD matrix LED headlights and dynamic rear indicators with coming home, leaving home function or animation. S-Line interior and exterior styling. Front sport seats with leather Alcantara upholstery, sport suspension, and privacy glass. So you might be interested why I put a zero value down on the alloy wheels. I do this actually with most vehicles that get a zero value for alloy wheels. So basically the way that works is if every vehicle in the product lineup gets alloy wheels, so in this case the start of this product lineup is the sport model, because that already gets alloy wheels, there's no benefit to jumping up into some different alloy wheels. So even if they're bigger or a different shape or a different style, whatever it happens to be, there is no added benefit, so there is no added value to it. If you want to spend more because it comes with specific alloy wheels, that's entirely your prerogative, but from a valuation perspective and how we value things, it's not worth anything, I'm afraid. So it's got a zero down there. The HD LED headlights and dynamic rear indicators. I put £500 down there. It does change the exterior profile of the car and how it looks, and obviously the animations add a little bit of flair to the vehicle. So I've added some value in there, but not as much as you might expect for matrix LED headlights, which were a really top-end option a few years ago, I believe, on the Audi lineup. S-Line interior and exterior styling. Again, I've added a fairly low value for this, but again, we're looking in 3 years' time of £500. So this will be things like the front fog surround, and then bits and trinkets around the rear of the vehicle. And again, because we're thinking in 3 years' time for evaluation, we've got to think, well, in 3 years' time, what does an Audi S-Line model look at that point? Will this particular A7 S-Line actually look quite outdated compared to the new S-Line that's going to come out in 3 years' time. So we have to take things like that into account, which is why it might have a slightly lower value than you expect at £500. Front sport seats with leather Alcantara upholstery. I put £250 down there just to sort of recognise that it has got slightly different leather and upholstery. So we've added a little bit of value there just to show that they are slightly different. Sport suspension, I put 0 down, and this is the S-Line model and would be deemed more of a luxury item compared to the sport model. And for me, if it's got sport suspension, it probably needs to be in the sport trim line, which is the base model. And then this one would probably have adaptive suspension if I was going to advise Audi which direction to go with that. But in this case, they've said, okay, we're going to put sport suspension in the S-Line model, and that's entirely their decision, but we or I would probably advise against that. And privacy glass, £150, obviously that's the rear of the car up here. I put £150 there, obviously, as I mentioned in my other videos on other various products. You've got security implications, people looking in the vehicle, so it's added value, and obviously protecting your passengers from sunlight and things like that. So total value there is £1,400, and you pay Audi £3,525. So it might seem like you've lost quite a bit of money there in terms of the specification, but it is actually quite good value for money compared to some stuff I'm going to show you later on, which is pretty eye-opening. But we're going to move on now to the black edition. So to jump from an S-Line to a black edition, you have to pay Audi £2,260, and it says in addition to the S-Line, the black edition trim highlights include 20-inch alloy wheels again, black styling pack, black door mirror housing, and a flat-bottomed steering wheel. So again, for the reasons I outlined before about the alloy wheels, they don't get any value whatsoever. It doesn't matter if they're diamond cut or anything like that, they're just alloy wheels as we see them. Black styling pack, obviously we're looking around these areas now with the wing mirrors and chrome along the side of the window rail there, and a few other areas that will have the black styling pack. So I've added value there, so obviously it changes the exterior profile again, makes it look sleeker, changes the overall height and profile of the vehicle and the way it looks. Obviously it doesn't change the height of the actual vehicle, but in terms of the eye line and how things sit, it makes it look a lot better, especially if it's in another colour that's not white, so if it's black, for example. Black door mirror housing, I put 0 because that's just part of the black styling pack. All they've done is just separate it out, but I've added a 0 value for that. And a flat bottom steering wheel, I've added a little bit of value for the flat bottom steering wheel. Obviously feels different in your hands, but it's not going to add a massive amount of value in 3 years' time. So in total I've added £650 worth of value to this vehicle. And obviously you pay Audi £2,260, so you've got to, make the dissertation if you want to part with that money, and then know that you're going to have, £650 worth of specification left at the end of 3 years' time. What I will say is, obviously, the specification that's listed out on their website, as you see it, and as we're doing picture-in-picture here, is sort of the basic specification, but Audi deemed this fairly important specification, so that's why they list it. And that's why I'm valuing it today. Obviously I could click the little I that's next to the black edition and have a little bit more of a list that told you very specific items. It would probably itemize all the sort of the black edition styling pack elements that you get included with the vehicle. But for me, from the way I'm looking at it as if I'm just a casual user. I'm looking at the price differences as if I was again a casual user and what I would get for my money if I paid £2,260. And whether it's worth it to me, and all I'm doing is just adding value to that. So that's the black edition, but then we jump up to the Vorsprung edition, and obviously as you can see straight away I've got a lot of writing on here with various numbers. To jump from a black edition model, which is already an expensive car at £54,555, you have to spend an extra £22,855 to jump up to the Vorsprung edition, which is absolutely mental. I really don't understand where Audi are going in terms of how they're pricing their top-end models, and I'll explain a little bit why I think that in a second. We'll run through the specification and I'll give you an example of why I think that price is a bit mental. But this is in addition to the black edition, so you get 21-inch alloys instead of the 20-inch alloys. You get HD matrix LED headlights with Audi laser lights. You get front sport seats in Valcona leather with diamond stitching, adaptive air suspension, dynamic all-wheel steering, and an advanced key. So if I just run through that quickly, alloy wheels, no value, as I mentioned before. HD matrix LED headlights, they're on all the vehicles anyway. It's actually the Audi laser lights which are the difference, and as you can see in the image, they're sort of tinged in blue. If I scroll up to the black edition, they're not blue. Whether that makes any difference to your purchasing decision and whether you want Audi laser light, which will probably be standard in 3 to 5 years time anyway, I can't really see the benefit, but I've added a little bit of extra value on, you know, just in case they are worth something in the future, which they potentially might be. So I've put £500 down there. Front sport seats in Valcona leather with diamond stitching. Again, I put a little bit of additional value in there. They're slightly different seats. The leather is obviously different, and I put £500 down there for it. It's not very descriptive, so I just have to go off the basic descriptions to understand how I'm going to value it. Adaptive air suspension, I put again another additional value of £500, which gives a total, obviously, a nice easy number, £1,500 worth of additional specification. Dynamic all-wheel steering, I didn't put anything down for that. Generally, if you can't see it, we don't add value to it, so it's a bit like safety systems. We wouldn't add value to airbags or side airbags or curtain airbags. Those things are generally just included in the vehicle, even though manufacturers will try to push us to value them because they think they add benefit. But because the consumer can't see that, we don't add any value to things like safety items. It should just be included because it's safety. You won't want your passengers to pay for safety, you won't want yourself to pay for safety. The manufacturer should absorb that cost and make you safe in their vehicle. That's the way we see it. So it gets a 0. You can't see dynamic all-wheel steering unless you're outside the car. It's on full lock, although it will drive slightly differently. An advanced key, I had a look what this was actually. It's just keyless entry really. There's nothing really special about it. What I have done is itemize a few other things that I think they should have listed over and above a lot of the specification that's listed here. They never mentioned the panoramic roof, which is obviously worth a lot of money. They've never mentioned the 360 camera, which would be worth money as well. A full leather pack, I'd obviously ask Audi themselves what full leather pack meant, or they'd send me the product and I would understand what full leather pack meant, and I'd have someone talk around the product with me. They don't say that the brake horsepower goes from 204 brake horsepower to 265. Sorry, it's not brake horsepower, it's PS. So they don't mention that. They don't mention the increase in power. They also don't mention the Quattro all-wheel drive system. So these are fairly fundamental key components that I would put into a list over and above things like advanced key. I would want to know that it's faster. It's got a Quattro system. It's got a fantastic panoramic roof. I don't care about an advanced key. Dynamic all-wheel steering, I can take it or leave it. You know, it's the things you can really feel and understand, and you get into the vehicle and it adds something to the vehicle, such as the panoramic roof. So I think they missed a little bit of a trick here. The other thing is the pricing, £22,855. So prior to filming this video, I actually did the Audi R8 video. And to jump from a rear-wheel drive Audi R8, which I think was £117,000-ish, you spend an extra £13,000 and you get the Quattro system and an increase in brake horsepower. I think it goes from 540 to 570 brake horsepower. In this one, you get the increase in brake horsepower is slightly more. 204 to 265 in terms of the number, obviously it's not more than an Audi R8. And you also get the Quattro system, but they're charging you £22,855 for it. But in the Audi R8, they charge £13,000 for it. So, and I know they've obviously got the additional spec like the panoramic roof, the 360 camera, the full leather pack, etc., and a few other little things. But if you're going between, I'm not saying this will be the case, but if you went between an Audi A7 and then casually you wanted to look at an Audi R8, I'd probably be scratching my head thinking, hold on a second, why am I paying £22,000 for this difference in performance in the Quattro system? But then on the Audi R8, it's a difference in performance in a Quattro system, and it's only 13,000. And that's why I've written that list out with the panoramic roof, the 360 camera and the leather pack, because I think it's important to show the customer exactly what they're getting for their money. It's like anything really, it's fairly obvious. So it's super quick, this video. Hopefully you found that reasonably useful. Jump into the comments below if you agree or disagree with some of the numbers I've come out with. If you want to see more videos, obviously subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.